Good evening, and thank you for joining our virtual candidates forum. I'm Laprel Todd, Political Awareness and Involvement, Social Action Co-Chair of the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. On behalf of our chapter president, Danielle Little, we welcome you to tonight's forum that will focus on the candidates of the City Council. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is a nonpartisan organization. We implement several community projects and programs centered around our sorority's 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, political awareness and involvement, social actions. The Warner Robins Alumni Chapter was chartered 33 years ago and has over 150 financial members who serves Blakely, Houston, and Pulaski counties. We hope that you enjoy tonight's program. Now, I will turn it over to our moderator, Shelby Coates of 41 NBC News. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I am looking forward to tonight. Let me start off by letting everyone know that voting is extremely, extremely important. So thank you so much for joining us for this voter education forum. This is your chance to learn about your local candidates who are all running for Warner Robins City Council Post 1, 3, and 5. My name is Shelby Coates, and I am a news anchor and executive producer here at 41 NBC News in Middle Georgia. I do have to say, I started off my reporting career here in Middle Georgia, covering politics in Warner Robins about 10 years ago, and I'm happy to return to Middle Georgia and return to this market and tell stories that matter. I also have to say, I love politics because local political action just really impacts everyone, your family, your finances, your safety. So I'm happy to be a part of this forum today. Now, we are all so excited to announce that this forum also includes social action bingo. So get excited about that tonight. You can see the link in your chat box to get your card. Now, the game will be played on all devices, so anyone can join in here. And when you hear a certain word that's mentioned on your card, all you have to do is mark your box electronically, and the winners will receive a gift card. So there's the link right there for Social Action Bingo. And you can play, and I'll just reiterate that again. You'll listen to certain words throughout the night, and when you hear that word, mark your box electronically, and the winner gets a gift card. Now it's time for me to introduce our fellow moderators for the evening, and I'm happy to introduce them to you right now. We'll start off tonight with Dr. Rutha Jackson, and we have her here, I believe. Is she on her way in? I want to briefly just say that she is a member of the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter. She's a retired educator from the Houston County School System, an Air Force veteran, minister, and co-founder of African American Tri-State newspaper. She is a servant leader, advocate for social justice, and enjoys spending time with her family. Now we do have Miss Angela Anderson. She is here with us tonight. She's born and raised in Warner Robins and loves her family. She's a graduate of Northside High School. She has two daughters. One is 26 with a criminal justice degree, and her youngest is an 18-year-old student at Georgia Southern University majoring in electrical engineering. She is a judicial assistant for the Houston County Superior Court judge. Angela is also a board member for Family Promise, a nonprofit organization that helps with homeless families in Houston County. We also have with us tonight Dr. Reverend Zerni, I'm going to make sure I say this right, Zerniel Bogan. He is a doctor of psychology, a business owner of L&Z, also a trainer for drone use, and president of the Georgia Minority Chamber of Commerce, Warner Robins. He is also very involved in mentoring to new entrepreneurs. Thank you all for being the moderators for the evening. All right, before we get started, I do want to mention that all candidates who will be on the ballot were invited to attend tonight. Those participating this evening will be given 2 minutes to share information about themselves, their platform, and their vision for their position. So this is your chance again to get to know the candidates. So we will meet the candidates from post 1. And those candidates are incumbent Derek Mack and also Leslie Morales. Thank you so much for joining. Happy to have you. We're both here. Now, within a 2-minute limit, of course, please share briefly some information about yourself, your platform, and your vision for the position. We'll have Mr. Mack go first and then Ms. Morales.
Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Coates. Again, my name is Derek Mack, and I'm the incumbent candidate for Post 1 for the city of Warner Robins. I was a newly elected official on March 16th, which was a special election when the incumbent candidate at the time, Darren Lee, stepped down. And I've thoroughly enjoyed serving Warner Robins this far in this capacity. I'm a 1987 graduate of Northside High School. I'm an Army veteran. I served 8 years regular Army, 3 with the Louisiana National Guard. I currently work on Robins Air Force Base as an aircraft logistics specialist with the 561st Maintenance Squadron, which is the F-15s. So every time you see an F-15 go straight up in the air or you hear it boom over your house, it's coming out of my office. So I deal with a lot of the pilots from the wheels down to the wheels up concept as the aircraft travels along its PDM process of overhauling the entire aircraft. I manage that process, also with synchronizing all the back shops to ensure that airplane meets the contract date to get back to the war fighter to provide us with the freedom that we take advantage of on a daily basis. So therefore, I have a very rigid and serious job. So therefore, I'm conditioned to do things at a critical pace and make critical conditions on the fly that will best serve our community. I don't like to consider myself as a politician, but I'm more committed to be what I like to call a public servant. My joy is serving this community. I come from a family of ministers and God-fearing people that has been instilled in me as a child that you are placed here to serve somebody else. And what greater honor and reverence is there than to serve at your local municipal level at City Hall? There's an honor and there's a burden of responsibility that I take very seriously. And I consider myself pretty much a lifelong resident of Warner Robins, despite the fact that I wasn't born here. I was born in Port Chester, New York, and I moved here in the 2nd grade, and I went to Thomas Elementary School, which was the building that's directly across the street from the rec center and City Hall. It was an elementary school. I'm a proud Thomas Tornado as well. I'm a Tabor Tiger. So I'm in all facets of this community, and I just love the city. I moved back here after I ETS out of the military. I was stationed in Louisiana. I love the Cajun cuisine, but I love Warner Robins more. And one thing that I would like to say, I ran my first campaign on being the all access candidate and to capture the spirit of the international city, because we have such a dynamic group of people from all over the world. It's a retirement safe haven for a lot of different people from a lot of different places. But what I've noticed is we haven't been catering to a dynamic group of people that represents this city. We need more community engagement. We need something for our citizens to do. We need constructive things for them to do. We need programs for our youth to keep them busy, because I'm gonna tell you, I grew up in the rec center of Warner Robins, and it kept us as young men busy. It wasn't our babysitter. We took joy in it, and in those rec centers, there were a group of men that I carry close to my heart this day that were mentors that shaped my generation as to be who we are. And we need that desperately with our youth today. I'm an advocate for mentorship. I'm an advocate for public service. I'm an advocate for sweep around your own front door and parent our children so that when they grow up, they come back to what they've learned as kids. But as far as our municipal capacity is concerned, we need economic development here. We need economic development to offset all the rooftops that are being built here. Naturally, we all know that we need the bandwidth that a smart city deserves, that we would like to be. But naturally, unfortunately, we're caught up in litigation with what has already been done in our city, and we have to wait for that process to take its course. But in the meantime, there's so much more that we can do. A lot of people talk about redeveloping the downtown and give this area downtown. But we need to start at the grassroots levels and empower our small businesses. With that being said, we also need to empower our police force. I'm really an advocate for giving our chief, Mr. Wagner, all the tools that he needs to
And
be
Mr. Mack, it looks
successful.
like our 2 minutes are up, so I'm going to let you
I'm
finish
sorry.
that sentence. I don't want to take time away from Ms.
We
Morales
want
as
to
well.
we
So.
want to empower our police force, our public service, and our department heads in our city. They're very busy dealing with the pandemic that we're dealing with. Is a tough job, but we're working hard, and I'm here to support them.
All right, thank you so much. And now, Leslie Morales.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for having me here. This is really a little nerve-wracking. I'll start off with that. This is not what I do. I'm definitely not a politician, but I do want to say that listening to Mr. Mack is very inspiring. He has a lot of good points. We do need to do several things within the city. Um, but and I didn't start off talking about myself. Sorry. My name is Leslie Morales. I am from Warner Robins. Excuse me. I've been in Warner Robins since 1999. I have two adult children who graduated from Northside High School. And I also have a 4-year-old. So that's a big gap, but that's where I am today. Just, things happen, life happens. But to get to where I see the city, um, I live here across from Northside High School, and I see the children every day. I see them every day, and I really think that we need to nurture our children more. We're not going to be here forever, and we need to make sure that they have the skills and the ability to take over when we're not here. I do see a lot of other cities who have more programs than Warner Robins does. During the summer, there are not as many programs available to the children and the youth of the city. We really, really need to get our cities because our children, because they are our future. Um, that is the biggest thing that I really want to see go forward with the city. I know that everybody that I've talked to have said we really need to get good businesses in here. We need to, bring in business, and I can see that and I understand that, but I don't think that that's really what Warner Robins wants to become. I understand getting, money generating through the city, but that's not why people come back to Warner Robins. It's not why people retire here. It's not why they call it home. It's because it's a small town. It's a quaint town. The schools are good. The people are good. And I think if we put more effort into building that up, and that I think that Warner Robins could be a better city. Again, yes, with Commercial Circle, I think that we do need to revitalize the area that is from Pleasant Hill all the way to the base. I think that makes the cute little town that people want to come and visit, and support the small businesses in the area, put them in the storefronts. Those are things that I think that we can do. Um, Recycling. I also think that the city needs some form of recycling, a curbside recycling, maybe something that maybe not every day or every week, but once a month or something, because we're not doing anything to give our children a better environment. I believe that there's a quote out there that says that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. And I just don't know that we're leaving them with enough. I don't think that we're doing enough to give them the world that they deserve. And those are some of the things that I would like to see the city move forward. And I would love to be in the middle of it. I would love to be elected and get your vote. But if that doesn't happen, I definitely want to get more people involved in the city government, local government. We need more youth involved. We need these people to come out and say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you tell me about how this works? And we need our representatives to provide that information to anybody who is looking for it. I think that sometimes government can be a little convoluted, so it's a little intimidating to people who might not be familiar with the processes and the protocols. So I think if that were more open and transparent, to use a word, that I think more people would become involved, and we really need more people involved with government. It's not just the people sitting in City Hall. It needs to be everybody in the community.
All righty, thank you so much. Again, these are the candidates for Warner Robins City Council Post 1, their introductions. Now we will move on to introduce the candidates for Warner Robins City Council Post 3, and they will appear in alphabetical order. I do want to mention that. We have Angie Eugene, Scott Howard, and incumbent Keith Lauritsen. So I do believe we're getting all three online right there. And within our 2-minute time limit, please, because we do want to get to the questions. Within 2 minutes, please briefly share some information about yourself, your platform, and your vision. Again, we will go in alphabetical order with Angie, Scott, and then Keith. Angie.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Angie Eugene, and I'm running for City Council Post 3. I was born in the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. I migrated to the U.S. in 1989 to New York City. I have 2 children and 1 grandchild. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2000. I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and a community servant at heart. My academic endeavor includes I have a doctorate of philosophy degree from CICA University, an ordained minister, certified life coach, and I'm also certified in human trafficking. In 2005, we moved to Warner Robins, where I opened my businesses. I'm a proud recipient of the 2016 Achievement Award for Outstanding Community Outreach and Activism in Middle Georgia. I also obtained a proclamation from Warner Robins City Hall in 2018. Additionally, I was awarded the President's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017. I collaborate with many different organizations, including Georgia Minority Chamber of Commerce, the Red Cross, and a slew of others that offer public service. Opening my businesses and Trinity Vision Global, Inc. was some of my goals and dreams. I love the city of Warner Robins, and I want to serve my community even more as City Councilwoman for Post 3 of Warner Robins.
All right, thank you. With about 10 seconds to spare there. All right, next we will go to Scott.
Hi, my name is Scott Howard. I want to thank the sorority for sponsoring this event tonight, and I hope it becomes a fruitful event for all of our watchers. I moved here to Warner Robins in 1998 when the C5 workload was transferred from Kelly Air Force Base to Warner Robins. I worked on Robins Air Force Base until I retired in 2015. As you know, I'm running for City Council Post 3. The 3 things that I want to bring about is economic diversity. And by that, I mean, even though the base is a great economic engine for this city and this area, I want to see diversity in our economy. I want other industries to come in who aren't dependent on the base. I want to see different types of industries that bring jobs that are not necessarily DoD related. Secondly, I want to see the smart city that Mr. Mack was talking about. It was moving along fairly well, and then the lawsuit came up, and honestly, I don't know what that's about. I've been trying to follow that in the newspapers, but the only thing the newspaper says is that there's a lawsuit, and that's all they tell us. And the third thing I want to concentrate on is the redevelopment of the older areas of the city, the parts of Post 3, the parts of the other posts that are older and run down somewhat and need to be improved. I want to see the city focus on those and get those areas improved in whatever way the citizens of those areas want. I don't want to just walk in and tell them how they're going to have their places, but when I listen to what the citizens have to say and take those ideas into account, because I'm sure many people out there have ideas that city council has just never thought of. It just simply didn't cross their minds. And I want to thank everybody for this opportunity, and I hope you'll help me make Warner Robins a greater city.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Howard. And finally, we have Keith Lauritsen.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. First of all, let me say thank you to Miss Angie Eugene and Mr. Scott Howard. I'm very appreciative of them being a part of this and also getting involved in running for council. I know it's going to be a great experience for all of us, and I do welcome them. First of all, my name is Keith Lauritsen. I'm a lifelong resident of Warner Robins for 57 years. I have a beautiful wife, Amy, 28 years, and 3 grown children. And I've been very blessed to live a happy and fruitful life. And I want to make sure that as a city councilman, I can do something to pass that great quality of life on to other families. First of all, the number one priority for me in my platform is public safety. I don't think anything should come before public safety, whether it be through police, fire, code enforcement. Everything revolves around that. That's number one. Number two, recreation. I believe recreation can assist us in public safety as we work with not just young, but old too, and giving them opportunities to participate in activities that are great. And I think it's a great way to give them encouragement and to help benefit their quality of life. We've made a lot of improvements in recreation, but we still have a long way to go. Also, like Scott said, economic development is very important. I believe we need to focus on the right kind of economic development. As Warner Robins is really almost like a bedroom community at times, our housing market is extremely strong. We need to really focus on industrial business development of all kinds to bring jobs to this community. A lot of people living in Warner Robins, and if they don't work on base, a lot of times they end up working in other cities around us. So it is my hope to continue to build, the industrial park out by I-75 to bring in more industry and support job growth. I'm a lifelong member of Second Baptist Church, and I strongly advocate for community involvement. I know Miss Eugene is very involved in many organizations, and I think it's through those organizations, through churches and the organizations that we're all a part of, that we can impact a community in the most positive way. I truly believe that the problem that we face today, whether it be physical health, mental health, a lot of times, and especially with crime, is through just pure hopelessness. And I want to help combat hopelessness, because that is the one thing that causes people to behave in inappropriate ways. We need to do things that give hope. We need to encourage, and we need to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be successful. And that is what I'm continuing to run. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, these are the candidates for Warner Robins City Council, Post 3. Thank you so much. And now we will introduce and meet the candidates for City Council, Post 5. In alphabetical order, we have incumbent Clifford Holmes Jr., and we also have Mr. Michael Jones. So again, you have 2 minutes to please share brief information about yourself, your platform, and your vision. We will start with Clifford and then go to Michael. Mr. Holmes, I think you're muted. So I want to make sure we get you unmuted there. I wonder if I can unmute you. Nope. See if you can press that microphone at the bottom of your screen. There you go.
Okay. All right.
We can hear you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Clifford Holmes Jr. Came to Warner Robins, Georgia. Came to Georgia, period, August 1st, 1967, as a classroom teacher. Married, 53 years, 2 grown kids, son and daughter, 2 grandkids, grown, son and grandson and granddaughter, and one great granddaughter. Proud of my heart, my love. Retired educator from the Houston County School System for a period of 42 years. 2 of those years was at the Georgia Department of Education, where I worked in the Division of Vocational Education as also chaired the youth clubs for the state of Georgia. City councilman, I am first elected the 3rd of January 2006, not 19, but 2006. Served 4 years until 12/31/09. Served as interim mayor during that period of time, 70 days, September 2nd, 2008 to November 11th, 2008. Served as a hospital authority for the city of Warner Robins as well as Perry for 8 years. During that time, we added new wings, emergency wings, and other wings to the Warner Robins Hospital as well as the Perry Hospital. I served on the also Phoenix Center Behavioral Health Board for period of 2 years. The Warner Robins Housing Authority for a period of weeks. Serving presently as the Middle Georgia Workforce Development, been the chairman of the Youth Council since 2003. Also served the Middle Georgia Clean Air Coalition, which is comprised of elected officials. Middle Georgia Regional Commission, also comprised of elected officials. Member of the Warner Robins Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, where I've been there since that church has been in existence over on Russell Parkway. Served as the former choir director for Evangelical Gospel Choir, as well as the former steward, and where I served in the position of treasurer. Georgia Municipal Association, consisting of elected officials. I serve presently as the second vice president for District 6.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. We're past that 2-minute mark, so I do want to make sure we give. No, it's okay. We don't have all night, but we have a while tonight to go over quite a bit. But I do want to give Mr. Jones a chance to introduce himself as well.
All right. Thank you. So good. Folks, good evening to the sorority, good evening to the candidates that are here, and good evening to the beautiful city of Warner Robins, which I am grateful to call my home. My name is Michael Christopher Jones, and I'm running for post 5 City Council. And the reason that I'm running is because I believe we need change, and a lot of it. There's 3 things that I truly believe that need to be addressed, and those aren't my platform, but those are things that I will consistently say, and that is truth and transparency. I think as an elected official, we should always be truthful in the way that we conduct ourselves, which will elicit a lot of trust from the citizens, and then that will always allow us to be transparent. As far as my platform, there are a few things that I would like to address, specifically the blight in the area of the community that I'm running from. There's a lot of people who will use that as a politically strategic way of saying that, hey, I want to do something, but not actually provide solutions, and I would like to provide those solutions. So as far as that, there are things that we can do aside from, taxing or looking at delinquent tax loans and things like that. We could also look at land banks. So that's a great way of actually addressing the issue so that we can redevelop those things into more productive uses for the citizens. I also want to address economic development, and I want to address the transparency. As I here, I believe that there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors, and the citizens are not always privy to knowing what's going on. And I want to be able to change that. So the other 2 things that I think are very important are addressing the needs of our senior citizens. They really are a backbone of this community, and I feel like they're being neglected at times and not actually thought of when it comes to decision making. And the other thing is I want to address programs for the children and for the young adults, because they really do not have much to do around here. So I'd like to partner maybe with organizations that are already dedicated to bettering them and helping them succeed in the ever-changing world that we're living in. So I'm running for post 5 because I honestly believe that they've been screaming for a long time to have a lot of change, and nobody's been listening. So as Michael Jones for post 5, I'm here to give a voice to the voiceless. I appreciate everybody, and I am truly honored.
All righty, and again, these are the candidates for post 1 for Warner Robins City Council. At this time, we're going to move forward into the questioning, and I'm happy to have Ms. Todd, who will ask the first question, starting with the post 1 candidates.
Mute. Mike's muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelby. During this round, each candidate will be given 2 minutes to answer a question. So our first question is, what plans or steps would you make to bring back a public pool to the north side of Warner Robins, since the public pool has been closed at the Dolores Tolliver? Mr. Mack, then Ms. Morales.
Thank you, Ms. Todd. Again, thank you for the opportunity. I've had a lot of conversations as I ride around and I talk to the citizens in the community. And I think one of the primary reasons why that pool was closed was the lack of employees, the lack of participation and funding for it. We are in the process of making an Olympic-sized pool on the opposite side of town, and we need a land-based place where we can put that new pool there. And we also need lifeguards. We need training. There's so many things that we need. And I'll be honest with you, the pandemic has stifled us a lot within the city. We're understaffed in a lot of the areas that we have, but we've invested in the Dolores Tolliver Park with a splash pad over there. And to be honest with you, there has not been any talks about adding a pool, but if there is a need, I was just in conversations with the mayor about particularly building another park in Post 5, not too far from there. The Hispanic community has embraced that area, which was a blighted area, because wherever you have blight, you find a trail of dollars that can be redeveloped into service for our community. And I wanted to make a soccer field and a park to include a swimming pool in that area. But I was kind of outvoted on that situation. So therefore, it was a part of the RDA's land, and they decided to put a community garden there. So that has been the forefront of my platform, is to engage with our community and its needs. And I think having a swimming pool in the area will be great things for our youth, especially with the hot summers that we have here. But we do have to staff those and maintain those swimming pools with lifeguards and public works personnel and so forth. But with that being said, it's going to take a collective group of people to advocate for it at City Hall, and I'm all for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Ms. Morales.
Well, I will start off by saying I was actually unaware that the pool was no longer in working order on that side of town. So I think that in an attempt to try and bring that pool, the pool or a pool back to the north side of Warner Robins, again, more community involvement, make people aware. There could be people out there who are looking for an opportunity to help with their community, who may have ideas and who may be able to put forward some ideas and say, hey, what if we tried this? Or, is it possible that we can get a group of volunteers or someone from, the technical college who may be taking courses in health or knowing CPR and things like that. I just don't think that we have enough community involvement, and it can't just be taken care of at the top level. It needs to be community wide. We need to have our level at the top, but that base has to be citywide. We have to have that community involvement. And I think that when people are not aware of the problems, they don't have solutions for them. When we make people more aware of what is going on in their own city, then we we bring forth a whole new group of people who have solutions and have ideas. And we've got some great people in this city who do have some really good ideas, and they just need to be able to find some place to get them to the people who need to hear them. So that's where I would start. I think would be definitely getting the community involved and finding out what it is that they would like to help with in getting that put back out there.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Morales.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All right. Post 3 candidates. We'll ask the same question as the others, and each of you will be given 2 minutes to answer. What plans or steps would you make to bring back a pool to the north side of Warner Robins, since the public pool has been closed at Dolores Tower? Ms. Eugene, Mr. Howard, then Mr. Lauriston.
Hello. The pools are not just closed on the north side, even though we are targeting, you've been talking about that particular area, but the pools are also closed on base and the rec center. Some of it has roof leaks. A lot of my friends who use swimming as exercise, they don't have anywhere to go for their physical activities. So being a community activist, I've been speaking to a lot of the other community leaders on ways we can have activities or even try to get the grants to get their pools opened back up. So I think we need funding. I think we need manpower. We can just collaborate. We need to collaborate to have some activities in this area for the kids and for the adults. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I believe the pools, if it's just a matter of the facility itself, can obviously be reopened, remodeled, whatever needs to be repaired, anything like that. But an additional problem is that was alluded to a moment ago is the lifeguards. We can't seem to hire lifeguards. The city's having the same problem that industry is having with a employee shortage. I think we could go to maybe the high schools, the swim teams, and see if they're willing to take on a part-time job as a lifeguard. We can help get them the CPR certification, the lifeguard certification that they need in order to be able to do that. But until we get lifeguards, we can have all the pools we want, but we won't be able to open them because you don't have the personnel that you need. So let's work with the schools, maybe even the colleges, the high schools, and see if we can find people who are interested in swimming to help alleviate the employment problem that we have with the lifeguards.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Lauriston?
Yes, thank you very much. We've made a multi-million-dollar investment in Dolores Tolliver Park, building a gymnasium there and other activities, and I think we can be very proud of that. Very sad that School Circle Pool did close. It was actually there when I was a child, and I swam in it before. So I would support reopening that very pool. At the same time, we've also made a $22+ million investment on North Houston Road in a fabulous new recreation center with lots of activities for young and old. So we are investing greatly in that side of town through recreation. And also within the next few months, we'll be breaking ground on an $8 to $10 million swim facility, actually in our district in Post 3, in which I think it's going to be a great facility. It's being done through partnership with the county, the school board, and the city. And the city will be running this facility. And I know that it may not be convenient as far as location for some parts of the city. Hopefully we can come up with ways to maybe to bus children and families over there at times. but it is going to be a magnificent facility, unlike any other in this part of the state of Georgia, to bring in competitions, but also for the actual activities of our citizens. So we're real excited about that. I think swimming is a wonderful sport. There's so many people living here in Warner Robins that are interested in swimming. We have a lot of activities for those programs, but also the schools will be able to use this facility for their swim teams. I think with increasing this swimming around, is like Scott said, increasing the number of lifeguards. I think that will produce more lifeguards by placing more emphasis on the sport of swimming. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, post 5 candidates. We'll ask you the same question as the others, and each of you will be giving 2 minutes to answer. What plans or steps would you make to bring back a public pool to the north side of Warner Robins, since the public pool has been closed at Dolores Tolliver? Mr. Holmes, then Mr. Jones.
Thank you very much. As I listen to the question and I talk about and think about the fact that the pool is no longer at the Dolores Tolliver Park because of lack of participation. We talked about lifeguards. We had lifeguards sitting over there, and I questioned that several years ago, sitting over there all day long, and they had the records of maybe 1 or 2 people maybe showing up during a day's time. We had a lot of repairs to do to that pool. A lot of repairs was done to the pool. And as a result of lack of participation by the citizens, the pool became a splash pad. And that was something that I made a suggestion to take place several years ago after visiting other cities. As far as the kids coming over, the staff, we did have staff. Like it was mentioned earlier, I can't say where you're going to find these people now. As Mr. Lawrence mentioned, we are in the process of building a multi-million-dollar swimming facility, and it's in partnership with the Houston County, with Centerville, as well as Perry. I do serve on that committee along with the mayors of those different cities and other representatives. So Warner Robins will have a place for swimming. We also I came up with a scholarship fund that's available right now over the Dolores Tolliver Park. And I was talking to Miss Pat recently, and she was saying that the kids don't even come. Nobody's sending the kids over there. We had people that was opposed to that park being built there, that facility being built there. And I said to them during that time, hold strong, we will have facilities for the students or kids north side of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Jones, but yes, ma'am. So I honestly believe the first thing that we would have to do is, if we can't reopen it due to the repairs that weren't able to be facilitated for the past 5 years, I believe, then we would have to find a new location, make sure that it is accessible to the community and not just, randomly put somewhere. And then I'm thinking about staff. I'm thinking maybe, not sure how we could do such, but if we could partner with the community colleges around here and the high schools to maybe offer high school students credits by becoming lifeguards and other things like that, we could probably staff them without having to actually find and generate extra. But if we did need to generate revenue, we could also probably provide a concession stand or other types of amenities along with the pool. But yes, I definitely think that we need to figure out the best way to facilitate that. And by adding a pool to either where the new complex is if we wanted to maybe do it around there, maybe an indoor pool so we can always have it, but then also make it affordable because it is a cost to actually go to this rec department. So I think we need to make it affordable. I think we need to make it accessible. I think we need to find just the perfect location, reach out to people who might already want to be lifeguards, see if they're interested in doing such. And if not, then like I said, maybe create a program to where we can actually hire high school students to do such and then give them credits towards their college degrees or things like that. And I think that's one of the quickest ways that we can kind of start doing that. I know that they said that there's going to be another one in post 3, and I think that's amazing. But post 5, then I think we need to actually address how do we bring it to post 5 and not talk about the one that will be in post 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you all. Mr. Holmes.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Morales, Mr. Mack. And here are your questions for your second round of questions. Over the past year, the city has received numerous reports of high levels of gas leaks and water leaks. What solutions do you propose to resolve these issues? We'll start with Ms. Morales first, and then you, Mr. Mack.
Me? Again, this I'm gonna continually over the next few questions say that we definitely need community involvement. I have seen leaks, water. I'm not familiar with the gas leaks, but I have seen water leaks driving up Watson Boulevard, and I'm not sure if, other than calling the utility department, if there is, a program in place that would make people more eager to, hey, go plug this in here, or if you see a leak, let us know, and some sort of possible incentive for people to make that phone call. Or to enter that ticket online and make us more aware. The infrastructure that is causing the deterioration of the infrastructure that is causing the leaks. I honestly will tell you, I'm not sure. I don't know the solution for that. I'd be more than happy and willing to listen to anybody that had ideas. Obviously, everybody's going to say we need more funding, and that is a factor. But just completely open to finding the right solution and finding ideas to help it.
Thank you, Mr. Mack.
Thank you, sir. The water leaks and gas leaks are very dear and near to my heart. I've spoke at length with our stormwater department head, even though it has really nothing to do with the water leaks. But what I would like to see is when these developers build these subdivisions and these new neighborhoods, hold them accountable, hold them on the hook for at least 10 years, like a warranty for the pipelines and the faulty pipes that they put in the ground, because once they leave, then the city inherits the problem. We've talked at length about this, and we've even talked about contracting out to certain plumbers to help us with the current water leaks that we have, because right now we're currently running 6 crews a day, 6 days a week, to include Saturday, and we're making great strides at getting these water leaks fixed in our city. But in my honest opinion, is a direct product of our department. Our developers not having the due diligence and the wherewithal to do the proper studies and research on the materials that they're using when they're building these new subdivisions, and then the city's left on the hook. So that's a big problem for the city, for that matter. So that my idea would be to contract it out until we get caught up, and then develop a sense of warranty for our developers. At least 10 years. If you have any issues with water leaks, you're on the hook for fixing that. And also for our gas leaks in the city, I think we need to be a little bit more proactive instead of reactive. We have had some leaks, and those leaks primarily came about during the pandemic, and we had people that were supposed to be doing inspections that weren't doing them properly, and they weren't managed properly. So what I would like to do is implement a series of preventative maintenance inspections throughout our entire gas pipeline, starting from Jeffersonville all the way throughout every element of our city. Therefore, we can curtail any unforeseeable issues that we may have. I like to call the city repair enhancement process. And what that would include is preventative maintenance inspections at all areas of our infrastructure. And if we find old infrastructure, find the funding to fix that old infrastructure, because our city is growing rapidly and things are changing, and we need to be ahead of the game instead of waiting for mishaps to happen to correct them.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Thank you all. And now let's go to post 3 candidates. Good evening, Mr. Howard, Mr. Eugene, and Mr. Lauritsen. And here are your questions for post 3. As you know, in the past year, the city has had numerous reports of high levels of gas leaks and water leaks. What solutions do you propose to resolve these issues? And we're with Ms. Eugene first, and then Mr. Lawrence, and then Mr. Howard.
Hello. Yes. The gas smells, it's really pungent at times. And we were told that it's coming from Macon when I inquired about it several years ago. But who's going to be paying for the pipes to be fixed or repaired? So that's a question that I have. You know, where's money coming from? Have we identified the areas where the leaks are? The gas leaks, the water leaks? We need to figure that out. But for me personally, my water bill is higher than normal. It's, in the past couple of years, my water bill is higher than my electric bill. So I would love to know where the water leaks are coming from, where they are, if we can identify the areas, and also if we can get new pipes, or can we fix the ones that's there now? So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bogan. First of all, let me say that the city of Warner Robins is one of the largest natural gas providers in the state of Georgia. And oftentimes we're in the actual top 5 in the volume of gas. We have 2 gas companies, City of Warner Robins Natural Gas, and also jointly owned natural gas, which is a collection of communities around us that provide that. Because these systems are so large, some of them are aging quite a bit. And so there is a need for constant inspection and upgrades. 3 of the greatest assets of our city are our water, sewer, and natural gas funds. It's called the Enterprise Fund. And through that Enterprise Fund, the revenues that we raise through those different entities, we're able to go in and to make repairs, to increase the services, to add new lines. So we constantly keep a huge amount of money in that budget that we can go in and fix and repair things when we need to. In the last several months, we have contracted with a company called ESG, who is a professional company that they do a lot of the training for the gas workers, and their company is actually the ones that are now providing the gas service and the gas support. Really, to be honest with you, gas workers, even more so than policemen, are probably the most dangerous profession within our city. So these gas workers have to have a lot of training, and it's very difficult as a city to provide that training and to hire the appropriate staff, those with certifications. So this is a very complicated process, and this is why we have contracted with ESG to do this in a much more professional way, so that we can maintain the safety and integrity of the lines. because we certainly want to continue to provide natural gas. Again, it's a great resource, and I believe with the commitment of the council and the city that we'll be able to continue to provide those upgrades and make sure things are done in a safe way, and that our citizens and our industries have great quality natural gas.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Mr. Howard?
Hi, I was thinking about this, and one of the questions that came to my mind was, these leaks, are they in main lines or in branches that go off to people's individual homes and businesses? Main lines are easier to detect because they're so big and so much leak happens when it takes place. Individual homes are a little more difficult for the city. Of course, the individual homeowner is going to call and report their problem. I had a house leak in my front yard about a year or so ago, and I called it into the city, and it took probably 4 months before a crew was able to come out and repair that leak. So I understand the problem with getting people to come out and fix things. If it's a need for more personnel, then obviously we need to hire people. I like the idea of holding the developers accountable for what they install. Developers right now don't have an incentive to use the highest quality materials, or at least satisfactory materials that will make those lines hold long after they're gone. Sometimes developers build a neighborhood and disappear, and you never see them again. Sometimes developers go out of business. There's a myriad of things that happen when someone comes in and develops a neighborhood. The last neighborhood I lived in, the developer developed half of his intentions and then disappeared. And the second phase of the neighborhood was just left sitting there. The street wasn't finished, no homes were built, nothing was done, and there was no one to go after. So while I like the idea of holding developers accountable, I'm not sure how much we'll actually be able to do that. I think that the city can do something about it. I like the proactive idea, especially in the older areas of town where the water lines and the gas lines have been in the ground for many, many years. It's time to take another look at those. If it's a newer area of town, then we can, as I mentioned before, we can look at the developers and try to hold them accountable so that they do a good job when they install these things. Thank you.
I thank you all. And now let's go into post 5. Good evening, Mr. Holmes, Mr. Jones.
Good evening.
Here's your second round of questions. Over the past year, the city has received numerous reports of high levels of gas leaks and water leaks. What solutions do you propose to resolve those issues? And we'll hear from Mr. Jones first and then Mr. Holmes.
Thank you. So a few months back, there was this holiday called Utility Worker Appreciation Day. And what it did was commemorate that there was this huge gas explosion that ended up killing about 344 students at a school. One of the gas leaks that we had was actually right next to an elementary school in my post, and that could have been us. So the first thing is rapid action, figuring out and identifying exactly where every gas leaks are, and then taking the measures that it does do or need to actually address them. If we do have a contract with ESG, then I think it should probably be upon them to be able to provide the training for the individuals who need to be out here doing the preventative measures. So I think that first and foremost, we need to, like I say, identify where these are, identify what kind of measures we need to take to actually fix these. Are these issues where they need new pipes, or are they issues where we can actually fix the issues that are there already rather than having to use more funds to do so? So I honestly think that the number one thing we have to do, I keep saying it and I'm gonna keep saying it, is identify. Because when I found out that one of those leaks was right there and it could have been students or kids in my community, that really, really hurt me and that scared me, because when I was reading that article, it said things had been ignored. So accountability is definitely something. is developers or whether it's on us as council and mayor when we find out something. Rapid action, preventative measures, identifying the cause issues, and then actually doing what we need to do.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes. As far as the water leaks and the gas leaks, old pipe infrastructure, schedule inspection. I think this has been a problem. We don't want to put everything on COVID, but the problem we had recently was a result, partially a result of COVID. The staff was very, very limited. And so that people were doing 3 and 4 different jobs. They were working overtime, or they have been working overtime. And this in turn led to the contracting with ESG, which I think you've heard about already. ESG had been the one that was coming in, doing the inspections, doing the repairs. As you ride, what I know in the North Davis Drive area, not daily now, but it was a point here recently that almost daily you would see staff, individuals, I won't say staff, could have been ESG staff, digging holes, going in manholes and what have you, repairing things. And I agree with Mr. Jones, and I agree with everybody that spoke about that. We've got to do a better job of scheduling and then be proactive instead of being reactive. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. And this is, concludes your questions.
Mute.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Just as before, each of you will have 2 minutes to answer the question. Mr. Mack, you will answer first, then Ms. Morales. With the increase of crime in our city, what are your plans for increasing law enforcement without raising taxes?
Well, unfortunately, in order to provide our chief, who's doing an amazing job, I speak with Chief Wagner a couple of times a week to try to empower him and to keep him encouraged to and instill in him and give him the tools that he needs to be successful on a daily basis. Our city is growing tremendously and at a rapid pace. People are trying to take advantage of our great community. With that being said, we have to fund the police officers. It takes approximately to get a new police officer from the street to a patrol car, training, cost, weapon, and equipment, approximately $1 million to get him from hiring, salary, and all those things that he needs to be successful in his job. We need more training. We need more tools. We need to tap into what we all been talking about, smart cities. We need deterrence for crime. We need deterrent from our city. We have a great police force. We just need to empower them and continue to fund them to ensure that they have the tools that they need to be successful. Now, one way that I would like to offset the funding issue is another thing that we've talked about, industry. We need industry here to fund our police officers instead of placing the burden on our homeowners with the property taxes. But unfortunately, if we do not, that's where the funding comes from. Unfortunately, it's just a necessary evil. So therefore, it is my idea, instead of doing a property tax increase, I would like to implement a penny sales tax. Therefore, we have approximately 80,000 citizens, but the city services about 115 to 120 on a daily basis that come in and out of our community. They should carry some of that burden as the police force that we have serve them as well. So I would say, instead of putting it on the property tax and raise our property taxes, put on a penny sales tax for people on the interstate, out there at Buc-ee's. They will carry some of the burden and utilize those funds to give our police force and our chief and our captains and those guys that risk their lives every day the tools to be successful and to come home safely to their families.
Ms. Morales.
Yes, thank you. I definitely think that it is not the correct time to increase any taxes. I think that the people, the citizens of Warner Robins, have been through a really tough couple of years. And I just, me personally, I don't believe that now is the time to increase taxes at all. I know that as far as crime goes in the city, I still think that we live in a very safe area. I think the city of Warner Robins, I think our law enforcement does a great job in curtailing a lot of issues. Again, this goes back to having something creative and constructive for people to do in town. People get bored. What is it? Idle hands or the devil's play. It without something to take your time and focus on something specific, it just leaves a lot of room for people to get themselves in trouble. I know that when my children were in school that, they were all meeting out at the Walmart parking lot. And it's, when you get a group of youth together who don't have a whole lot to do, nowhere to really have an outlet, that they do stupid things. We've all done stupid things in our past. And I think that again, once we get something implemented for people to do, then they'll find other things to do than small, petty, stupid things. I still think that our major crime rate is really, really absolutely one of the lowest because of our law enforcement.
Thank you both for your answers. Now let's hear from our post 3 candidates. Good evening. Candidates, here's your third. Good evening. Here's your third question. First, we'll have Mr. Howard answer, then Mr. Lauritsen, and then Ms. Eugene. In 2 minutes, please answer. With the increase in our city, what are your plans for increasing law enforcement without raising taxes?
Thank you for the question.
Mr.
First of all, I don't know necessarily that you can increase law enforcement without increasing taxes. That being said, the goal is to decrease crime. So if we can find or create things mainly for the teenagers to do, because that's generally where the problem is, because as has been said before, they're bored. They go out in the streets, they hang together, and they don't have anything to do, and they wind up getting themselves in trouble. We've all done it. Well, not me. I've never done anything like that, but I hear that people do stuff like that when they're teenagers. So I think if we can come up with sources of recreation for the teenagers to get them off the streets, as we mentioned before, the rec center and the swimming pools and things like that, that'll help a lot. If we wind up having to increase our police force without knowing the ins and outs of the city budget, I don't know that it can be done without increasing taxes. I like the penny sales tax idea, but I don't want to go on record as saying that I think we can do it without raising taxes and then wind up having to implement a tax of some kind in order to fund it. So I'm going to leave that at that. And I hope we can, but until I talk to the police chief and find out exactly what the numbers are in our budgets, I'm not gonna commit to that one way or the other.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, thank you, Ms. Anderson. This is a great question. Over the last 8 years, we have increased our police force by leaps and bounds without raising taxes. We've been able to fund additional police positions. And in this year's budget alone, we've added 16 16 new police officer positions for this year. We've also added 2 new code enforcement positions, as well as many firefighter positions. So this is an area of great interest, and we've done this without raising taxes. The millage rate, which is the property tax rate, has remained the same for the last 8 years, and it will remain the same for the coming years as well, if we're smart. We've done this literally through growth. Our city has grown tremendously. Therefore, there's a need for increased police enforcing. Policing the city, however, is not the only way to create a safer public. I think community organizations need to come alongside the police and support them by providing opportunities for young people and old to be involved in positive things. And we do that. We have churches all throughout our community, clubs, other organizations, and we need to continue to support that because that can really prevent crime. Secondly, I also want to say that I'm really excited that we've been discussing expanding the auxiliary police force, which is basically retired policemen and policewomen that come alongside and work things like, accidents and things that take up a lot of time that take officers off the road when they could be doing other preventative things and responding to calls. So that is something we're excited about doing. That'll keep some of our officers. Now, the big thing is we can add all these positions, but if we can't hire quality policemen, it really doesn't matter, does it? So we've got to increase the attitude about policing in general. I hope that young people come out of high school and college saying, hey, I want to be a policeman. It is a great profession and there's great honor and dignity in it. And I also want our police officers to continue to treat our citizens with great courtesy and respect, because I believe it's those positive relations that we have positive policing. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I was waiting for my mic to be unmuted. Some of the things we can do is neighborhood watch, go back to the good old days when people would look out for each other and the community. Programs for the youth. Can we, have some junior officers that is trained in certain areas to just not to, go into a criminal situation, but little things, little minor details. They can police that. The last I checked, we had 105 police officers at one point. The last statistics that I looked at, we had 87. And as Keith said, there's some new officers because I was at City Hall and I've seen some new faces. So that's a great thing. More police presence make people feel safer, and it also prevents crime. My office is right off Green Street on the same street as Myrtle Street. So a lot of people ask me, Angie, do you feel safe being there? Like I'm at work right now, my office right now. Yes, I feel safe because a lot of times the police officers fill up right next door, and I know they're not far away. If I have an issue, I can call on them and they will be here. But on the flip side of that, when we have community events and I request police presence, there isn't enough to go around. There isn't enough officers. And I understand that, because I would like to see the police at some of our events when we give away turkeys or toys for the kids. But I understand that we are at a lower number in bodies to go around. So I think we also need some incentives for training and for new officers coming into the force. We need to have a plan of action, a strategic plan of action for incentives, and also train our police officers in conflict resolution. So that's my opinion on that. Thank you.
Thank you all for your answers. Now let's hear from our post 5 candidates. Candidates, here's your third question. First, Mr. Holmes, you will answer, and then Mr. Jones. In 2 minutes, please answer. With the increase of crime in our city, What are your plans for increasing law enforcement without raising taxes?
Well, that's a good question. We've already started to do some things about that. We've hired through budget increase. Uh, I don't know exactly how many new police officers. We also look at training of officers. I can tell you that in 1972 through 1978, I served as an auxiliary policeman. We had an explorer group also in the schools that we brought kids, young people in. I won't say kids, young people in to work with them. We patrolled weekends and holidays to allow the regular officers to do family time, and also to increase coverage of the city. Patrol has increased with the numbers officers we've hired recently. We have, I'm saying on Post 5 area, we have more officers patrolling. I'm sure that the other side of town sees the same thing, but I can't say that I can speak for this side of town. The staff, the council, and mayor have increased the budget for police officers, and I don't remember offhand the amount of dollars we just put into the budget for hiring more officers. But we've got to start at home, and a lot of us are not saying this. A lot of the problems we have don't start in the street; they start at home. And because of the young parents trying to raise young kids, or kids not much younger than they are. So we've got to just start teaching our kids what they should do and what they should not be doing, and then support our officers, our police officers, instead of blaming our police officers. Thank you.
Thank you. So what is actually crime in itself. I do believe that trying to fund for the police officers is definitely important, and if we can find ways to do it by raising the budget or other options like that, then I think that is a great way to do it. But I would like to actually talk about crime in itself. If you want to prevent crime, then you have to look at the socioeconomic issues that are precipitating that crime. And on our side of town, the side that I'm running for, Post 5, there's a lack of opportunity, there's a lack of mental health services, there's a lack of services to address substance abuse. And when you have these lacks and you don't actually bring any offset them, then the crime is going to continue to raise. So we have to address the culture. We have to address the issues that are necessary when it comes to saying, hey, this person right here is a criminal. This person is in a desperate situation. And by providing them with things, we can provide children with all kinds of tournaments, provide them ride-alongs with the police officer so they can actually get a chance to see what it's like to be a police officer. That will inspire them to grow up to be a police officer if it seems like we lack individuals who are attempting to take up that mantle. And I think that also police officers probably be a part of the community that they serve, so that way they can have some type of rapport and relationship with the individuals of that community. And I think that that would provide a safer environment, not only for the police officers themselves, but also for the way that the people of that environment feel. I think that they need to also feel safe in their environment. And I think that the police are doing an amazing job. I've had a chance to speak with Chief Wagner on multiple occasions and other officers when it's come to the events that we've done, and they've always been more than enjoyable. But I think that it's not always getting more police officers. I think sometimes it's actually addressing what is the crime. Police officers respond to crime, but we need to also figure out a way, how do we prevent the crime from happening in the first place? And I think that's the number one thing we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you both for your answers.
Alrighty, thank you to all the candidates from all the posts for answering those questions. Real quick, before we move into the live audience questions, I'm pretty excited about that. Just a reminder, don't forget about Social Action Bingo. The card link is in the comment section. I saw a couple of questions there, but if you need the card link, it's in the comment section. And remember, there is a gift card for the winner. So there's the link again right there on your screen. Please continue to listen for those words on your card as we move into the live audience questions. Now, my fellow moderators will ask the questions for each candidate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. So again, these are questions from our audience. Some of them we received today. So Ms. Todd will ask questions for post 1, Mr. Bogan for post 3, and Ms. Anderson for post 5. But again, we'll start with post 1, and I'll turn things over to Ms. Todd.
Thank you. So we have a question from the audience. How would you foster a positive working relationship with the mayor and other council members to ensure that the community concerns are being met? Ms. Morales?
Let me unmute there. Yes, that's an excellent question. And I think that a big part of that would be availability of the mayor and council to interact with the citizens of Warner Robins. You know, if elected to the post, I would definitely make an active effort to get out there and speak with every person. I have a specific phone line available for anybody who wants to, you know, to make a phone call to me, send me a text, ask me a question, to ensure that the community concerns are being met. Again, open communication. We have to have that back and forth, that open communication. And that is with any relationship. That is with your work relationship. That's with your personal relationships. And that is definitely with your community and your government relationships. If you don't have that open communication, we don't know what the people in the neighborhoods are talking about. We don't know what their concerns are. They have to feel that they have an open forum, an open ability to come to us and voice those concerns. And again, back with community involvement in government, come to the city council meetings, come to any of the special meetings, send an email, pick up a phone, write a letter. That's without having that information as to what the community concerns are. We can't help, we can't fix the problem. And once we do get that information, keep an open line of communication. You know, hey, we haven't been able to finish this yet, but we haven't forgot about you. And I think that the community gets very little feedback and very little response to what it is that they're putting forward. And I think that that needs to change a little bit so that they feel that they can just talk about anything that they feel is a concern in town.
Thank you. Mr. Mack?
All right, thank you, ma'am. First of all, I like to say effective listening is the key. Our citizens are the most valuable asset that we have. And for us to serve collectively in the chambers of City Hall, we have to keep them at the forefront of our minds. What I have often said, there needs to be absence with the mindset of them and us or us and them, as we collectively are the veins. We are the blood that runs through the veins of this city, and City Hall is particularly the heart and or the brain. So we have to effectively listen to the needs of every single constituent and put aside our opinions and our individual beliefs and listen to the concerns and the needs of the citizens. I think that's the first way to collectively work together and foster a positive relationship amongst ourselves to properly service the people that elected us to do so. It's not about me. It's not about the other council member. It's about the people that put us there. And if we don't understand that as a group, then we don't need to serve. So therefore, I'm a strong advocate for a collective bargaining agreement with all 6 councilmen, to include the mayor and all of its department heads. I would like to have department meetings to discuss the needs, department head meetings to discuss the needs and the concerns of the citizens. I'm currently a member of the neighborhood committee association, and we're going to have neighborhood committee meetings to get to be direct liaisons from the city, the people in the city, to address their concerns and bring it to the council. And that's a major concern of mine, because you have to be engaged, but also I have to encourage the citizens in the city to be engaged, be demanding citizens. Come to the council meetings, express yourself, and be concerned, because the squeaky wheel gets the most oil. And that's how I feel about that.
Thank you, Mr. Mack.
All right, now we will move on to post 3. And we have our candidates for post 3. And I will go ahead and ask this next question for our candidates, I believe. So how would you foster a... Oh, I think we lost the question. The next question's coming up shortly. All right, we got everybody in there. All right, our next question. Over the last 5 years, we have not had a balanced budget before the start of next fiscal year. Are we going to go another 4 years without presenting a balanced budget before the new fiscal year? And let's see, let's go ahead and we will start off with, I guess we'll start off with Angie.
Hi. Being a business owner and founder of a nonprofit, I bring a special skill set to the table when it comes to budgeting. I'm great at it. I know how to checks and balance. So that's my skill set I can bring to the table for when it comes to budgeting for the city of Warner Robins. I don't have all the data for our budget, but I'm sure that in some way, fashion, or form, I can assist with that in the upcoming years. Thank you.
All right, Scott.
Okay, my initial answer is I hope not. But on a more serious note, we absolutely can go with a budget that's balanced. Let me get my tongue untangled and I'll try it again. We absolutely can go with a balanced budget, provided we don't have another recession. Because if a recession comes and housing values decrease and sales decrease and things like that, which COVID brought us, we can't help but to have a budget deficit. We simply can't raise taxes high enough to compensate for the loss of value of property. Barring that, a recession, I don't see any reason why we can't have a balanced budget. We've already talked about how Warner Robins is a boom town, and housing is growing. Housing values are going up like crazy. We have some new industry coming in, not as much as I personally would like, but we have new industry coming in. Industry brings tax dollars. So I think with the combination of all those things and some good fiscal stewardship, we can absolutely have a balanced budget in the next few years. Thank you.
And Keith.
Thank you. Currently, Georgia state law requires every city to have a balanced budget going into the fiscal year. So we do have, and we have had, a balanced budget each and every year. However, they might be referring to the fact that in certain years, we've had to use some of our enterprise fund, which is our water, sewer, natural gas, in order to balance that budget. But the budget is balanced. In almost every one of those years, we've said that we would use the enterprise fund to balance the budget, but in most cases, we've never had to do that because of things like growth, or maybe some positions didn't get filled, but we've never actually had to really do that much. But we do have a balanced budget. It's a requirement by state law. And yes, we will continue to balance that budget each and every year.
All righty, thank you, candidates, for post 3. And now Ms. Anderson will join us for questions for Post 5.
Okay, I'm waiting on a question. Okay. Question is, what is your stance on police stipends to live in the neighborhood they police? Do you believe that policemen can better serve if they know the community they are serving? Mr. Jones, you first.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. That if these police officers, excuse me, in the communities that they serve, that it would definitely offer a better rapport and relationship between community and police officers. So if that type of incentive of a stipend to allow them to stay in that area would offset some of the issues that we have between police and the citizens, then I think it's a great idea. I also believe that you have to be a part of that community to police that community. Because if you don't understand what is going on in that community, you don't understand the culture, you don't know the people, then it's very, very hard to have things. So I think that we need to come up with incentives that will allow police officers to feel like, yes, I do want to stay in the area that I police, and then to make them feel like they're safe in the area. I believe some of them might feel like if people know that they live in that area, that they might be targeted and things like that. So we need to figure out how to make them feel safer in that environment so that they would want to stay in that environment. So I am definitely of trying to figure out ways to allow police officers to live in the community that they police, because I do believe that that could foster a greater relationship with them, people in that community. Thank you.
Are we ready?
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Police stipends is great if the money is there to do that. To live in neighborhoods that they police, yes. Several years ago, we did that. We housed policemen in apartments that they rent free. So I don't know what happened over the period of time, the period of years, other than a decrease in the number of policemen we had working in the city. But yes, we did. We provided housing for individuals that are within the neighborhood to look after and be closer to reacting to whatever the call might be.
Thank you both for your answers.
You're welcome.
All righty, thank you very much to the candidates. Now, in closing, each candidate will have 2 minutes to give final remarks and comments. We will start with Post 1, then we will go to Post 3, and we will close out with Post 5. So for Post 1, we will start off with Mr. Mack, and then we will go to Ms. Morales. And again, you have 2 minutes for closing remarks.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, again, I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity to engage with the citizens and your great organization, to allow us and to allow the citizens to engage with us. But the one thing that I would like to circle back to a couple of the questions, also I paid attention to the questions for the other candidates, is we have to be careful not to rest on our laurels and tap into what we did yesterday. The one thing you can't do anything with is the past. Our city is growing at a rapid rate, and we need to keep up with it. We need to keep up with inflation. We need to be able to pay our city employees to keep up with inflation, to pay them the proper salaries to do what they need to do to raise their families as well. I voted on a citizen. We have a citizens advisory board that we created so that the citizens in our city can have more communications with the council, the current council, and the mayor. So I would like to tell the people, if you need change, if you want change, let your voice be heard, be demanding. I consider myself the all access candidate. I answer my telephone all times of night, and if I don't answer, I make phone calls and return phone calls and or emails. I just want the opportunity to continue to serve in that capacity. I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much for the people that have been there, but we need to continue to move forward and engage with our city, provide things for our community to do. We need community engagement. That's the one thing that we do need, because a lot of our talent, our young adults, we go to other communities just to entertain ourselves. We need to change that. We need more green space. We need more parks for our youth, for our walk-up community. And another thing that really concerns me is the Americans Disability Act. As I ride around the city, I see more and more people in mechanical and motorized wheelchairs and accessible handicapped equipment. We need to facilitate those as well with our sidewalks and a host of other things. We did just vote on correcting and repairing the sidewalks that we have in our city. So we're a process moving forward. And I'd like to continue to serve in that capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Ms. Morales.
Well, actually, I've actually been sitting over here reading some of the comments that have been posted during this forum, and there are a lot of people who are very passionate about politics in the city, and I think that's great. I think, again, we need to foster that. We need to make people make sure that people have the ability to become involved. We do need, again, we do need activities for people, youth, older adults for sure, but definitely the youth. One of the biggest things that I want to see, if it's possible to do, is come to an agreement with the Board of Education to remove the fences and padlocks off of the play yards at the public schools. We have plenty of parks. We do. Not all of them are accessible to the children of the neighborhood, who we all know sometimes during the summer, you know, their parents are at work. They don't really have a lot of things to do. I think if we take some of the funds from building, and I think it's great, but I think if we take some of the funds from building multi-million-dollar facilities in one specific area of the city and augment what we already have, shade sails, benches, trees, make the schoolyards in the city a place where families would want to go on the weekend, or, and obviously not during school hours, you know, that's it would be after hours or during the holidays. And I think that would be something that we could do that's already in place. And again, I just want to say that, you know, community involvement, if there's something, I have a Facebook page out there, Leslie M for City Council. If there's any questions, message me. My phone number is on that page in the about area. Feel free to send me a text. I'm here to listen to everybody and see if we can't come together and make a few changes and definitely get some results.
All righty, thank you to our candidates for post 1. Now we will be moving to post 3. Again, our post 3 candidates will have 2 minutes to give their final remarks. We will start with Ms. Eugene, then we will go to Mr. Howard, and then Mr. Lauritsen. So let's go ahead and start off with Andy, please.
Thank you. In 2005, when I was looking for a place to move to with my children, we had the best school system. So we moved here. My children grew up in Warner Robins from Centerville Elementary. They both graduated from Northside. My daughter is getting her PhD in neuroscience and stem cell research in California, and she pledged Delta. But I say all that to let you know that Warner Robins is a great place to raise a family. I am proud to be a citizen here. I am proud of the work that I do here, serving the community with my nonprofit organization. I would love to see Warner Robins move forward, being a smart city, because we have smart cell phones, we have smart cars. Even my house is a smart house. You know, it's amazing, because when you walk in, the lights turn on. When you walk out, the lights turn off. So it saves energy. So I would love to see Warner Robins move forward. And how about a downtown area for us to go and hang out, you know, have a nightlife, a social life, shops and recreation. I would love to see more parks and recs in certain areas of the city, that people do not have to pay a fee to attend the parks. And Warner Robins is a melting pot. And that's one of the things that I love about here. You can get different foods. We can meet different people. I've been to everything from Chinese New Year to hoedowns in Warner Robins, and I love to meet different people. I love to get their point of view. We need an international festival here. I was invited to one in a neighboring city. So I reached out to the people that's putting together that festival, the international festival, and I asked them to show me how they, go about doing it so that I can implement international festival here in Warner Robins for us. Another thing that I'm passionate about is small business, women entrepreneur and males, of course, small startup business. I know what I went through when I started my business. So making a list of where people can go to get your business license, just a little help, a little push, a little extra, so we can have more businesses started here in Warner Robins. And also, my final point is I have been to a lot of different countries. I go to the United Nations, I speak to prime ministers, heads of state, and I have very global thinking. So let me and my lessons that I have learned globally help us here locally in Warner Robins. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, thank you, Ms. Eugene. We will now go to Mr. Lordson. I don't think we have Mr. Scott right now, so Keith, we'll go ahead and let you do your final closing.
Thank you. For the last 30 years, I've been an educator in the public school systems. I've been a teacher, a coach, administrator, principal, and my lifelong mission has been to serve children and families. And it has been a great honor and a great pleasure to do just that. What a rewarding profession. But even more, even in addition to that, I've had the opportunity to serve Warner Robins and citizens for the last 8 years on city council to continue to conserve citizens and families and children, and doing it through legislation by promoting and supporting legislation that benefit our families. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're here for. And we really need to focus on bringing opportunities for our families to become involved in our government. One of the things that we are about to do, and I believe the first meeting in October, is to appoint a citizen advisory board. That citizen advisory board is going to be made up of many citizens throughout the community, and they're going to play a large role moving forward in the things that we do. We have great plans for our citizens and for our city, and it is going to be a pleasure to bring more citizens in as being a part of that process, not just to bring about transparency, but there are so many people out there with great ideas. I've heard a lot of great ideas tonight from Miss Eugene, Mr. Howard, and all the other candidates. That's what it takes to be a prosperous city. It takes ideas and people working together. And so I do truly believe that this Citizen Advisory Board is going to help us move forward in a great way. And I just want to say that, again, it's been a pleasure to serve the citizens of Warner Robins, and I hope to continue to do that. So I covet your prayers and I covet your vote on November the 2nd for Warner Robins City Council, Post 3. Thank you. God bless you.
Alrighty, thank you, Keith. It looks like Scott has not made it back in just yet. So we are going to move on to Post 5. And we have our Post 5 candidates. Candidates, you will have 2 minutes as well to give your final remarks and comments. We will start with Mr. Holmes and then go to Mr. Jones. So Clifford Holmes, take it away.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to meet with you, to talk with you, and to share our ideas, and primarily to listen to others give their ideas about what we can do to improve citizenship in Warner Robins, Georgia. Having told you, I did 42 years in the educational arenas. I dealt with young people, classroom teacher to assistant to the superintendent of schools. I served at the hospital authority. I served on the Phoenix board. We've done some things, workforce development, where we put youth to work daily in jobs, and the workforce development pays for that. What I really want to concentrate on right at this end of my talk is communication. We've got to feel free to communicate with all of the mayor and council. A lot of times we get things second, third, fourth hand down because no one bothered to call us with those issues. I have a policy, and those of you who calls me know this. You can call me about any problem areas in the city of Warner Robins, be it post 5 or post 1. It doesn't matter. I will tell you that I will do what I can to help resolve that problem, and that I will pass this information on to the council person in that district. And I do that, and I give them the name as well as the phone number. So working together, communicating, listening to you, the citizens of Warner Robins. This is my 12th year. I would love to do another term because we've started some things that I think are going to really turn Warner Robins around. And I would like to be a part of that. And through doing that, I'll need your vote and your support. Thank you.
Righty, thank you, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Jones.
Thank you very much. So I've had a blast. I've never really actually participated in one of these things. It was really fun hearing a whole bunch of different ideas that can better the city and the community that I live in. One of the things, though, that I've kind of noticed is that as politicians or public servants, we don't actually take in account what the citizens are asking, and we just like to assume that we know what's best for them. So what we've been doing is actually canvassing the streets and talking to the citizens, and we've seen recurring issues consistently coming up. We've seen that they don't know who their councilmen are, and I think that's a problem. They say they have no need to be involved in politics, and that's a problem. And then they have small issues that just are not being addressed. They like to have more sidewalks. They like to have more speed bumps in residential areas, stop the speeding, or maybe putting signs up to let them know that there are kids there. These are things that we can actually do very, very relatively quickly. And also, I said transparency. One of the things that I would like to do is start hosting town halls. Like, how do we know what the citizens want if we don't listen to them and if we don't give them a voice? If we don't allow them to tell us what's going on, then we're going to continue to stay in the same problems, and they're going to continue to lose trust and faith in us. So I think it's incumbent upon us to actually listen. I've heard that. I agree with that. But at the same time, how are we going to do that? So I really, really thank everybody for giving me this opportunity, for giving me this platform, for taking time to listen to everything that I have to say. My name is Michael Jones. I'm running for post 5, and I am here to give a voice to the voiceless. Thank you again. Good night.
Alrighty, thank you. And those were the candidates for post 5. And I believe we're going to get all the candidates back on screen. We're still trying to get in touch with Mr. Howard Scott to get back in here. Mr. Howard is coming shortly, I believe. But I do need to mention thank you from everyone who organized this. Thank you to all the candidates for participating tonight. I'm told we had 7 out of the 8 candidates participating. So thank you so much for your time and your attention. It's our hope that voters can have a well-informed decision as they prepare to vote later in the election season. And hopefully they've really learned and gained some more insight about you guys and some of your platforms and your beliefs and your goals for Warner Robins. I do want to make sure I mention, because this is so important, please write this down, everybody. Early voting, October 12th through the 29th. So you can start voting early, October 12th through the 29th. And then, of course, Election Day, November 2nd. I always tell people, put it on your calendar and then also put it in your phone and set an alarm. So there's no reason to forget. Also, we have our bingo. I want to make sure we announce the winners here. A lot of people listening intently throughout the questions. So before I announce the winners, I have another announcement to make, so stand by. I do want to encourage the candidates and everyone on today that this forum will replay on Facebook and YouTube. So maybe you didn't hear a question clearly, or maybe you want to hear what the candidate had to say a little bit more. You can rewatch this forum. And then for the candidates, we had a lot of questions in our comment section that we didn't get to all of them. So we want to encourage you as well to look at some of those questions and feel free to respond and answer those. So this forum from tonight will be reposted on both Facebook and YouTube. Please take time before elections to look at that. All right, are we ready for our bingo winners for the night? Congratulations to Brianna Trevelyan. She won on Facebook. Congratulations. Yes, we have some claps there. And then also congratulations to Kimberly Dickerson. She won on YouTube. Congratulations to both of those ladies for paying attention and getting those bingo cards filled out. You can email social action at warnerrobins-dst to receive that prize. Again, that's social action at warnerrobins-dst to receive your gift card. Again, thank you, candidates, all so much for being with us tonight. And I also want to make sure we have time to get our moderators on as well. I want to say thank you to our moderators, Ms. Todd, who stepped in. We also have Miss Anderson. I want to make sure we say thank you to her, and Reverend Dr. Bogan, who I think stepped out, but thank you again to our fellow moderators as well.
You're welcome.
And I guess I just want to go ahead and close this out here on behalf of the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and our former co-sponsor, Black Voters Matter. Thank you again to all of our candidates and audience for participating in our virtual Meet the Candidates town hall meeting. Very informative and organized. We ask that you join us again on Thursday. Please write this down, September 23rd at 7 p.m. for the virtual City of Warner Robins Mayoral Meet the Candidates Forum. So these are the candidates running for mayor. I see my friend Wanye Reese will be handling that one. That is again on Thursday, September 23rd at 7 p.m. Thank you again to the candidates and the moderators. We want to remind you, your vote is your voice. I will say that again. Your vote is your voice. Have a great Thursday night.